So let's talk about thermal imaging, and we're going to decide who's going to get these. None of you are very talkative, which is not helping me. So you got to remember, I'm the writer. You're all characters to me right now, so I need to figure out who's going to get which devices based on how your characteristics are. Now, so far, you're the chuckler, so you're the only one that's laughing at my corny jokes.
That's the techie.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. What else? What other things do we need to know here?
I like drawing a lot.
Drawing a lot. Okay. So we got
the techie and the sports kid.
All right. We'll figure this out. We're gonna.
And the sarcastic one.
Oh, even better. Perfect.
Yeah, he's really good at sarcasm.
All right. You guys can all see me in that picture, right? I should be orange, red, and yellow. So I'm the warmest thing inside the whole screen. Okay. So what we're looking for are things that are blue and black, because that's what's around me. Because my signature is going to be warmer than that. Obviously, I should be 97 to 99 degrees and not any higher, right? So when you take me out of the picture, it's going to fluctuate. So now there should be some orange, red, and yellow in there. That's not flesh. It's gonna move around a bit. Really what we're looking for here is this is set to white hot, black cold. So we're looking for those blue and black spots to move on their own over something that's flesh, because that's going to be the warmest thing in the whole picture. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so Mr. Sarcasm, this also records audio. So we have another point of audio, and I usually try to find out like where my jokester is, because us listening to his jokes tomorrow morning is even better. So you're going to hold this like this all night long, obviously, so you can see it. But the red square only means that you're recording. If it turns to a circle, let me know. I'll have to splice your video together. It just takes a little bit longer, and I need to know what's there. But yeah, you're going to be a cameraman all night.
I'm recording right now.
You can point wherever you want to. You're the cameraman. We're going to go through each of these devices a little bit more thoroughly in our first location, where I get to bounce around with all of you. Okay. This is more like, let's get stuff in your hands and get this party started kind of thing. All right. So, this way. So you told me you like to draw, which means you're creative and you're pretty open-minded. So I'm going to remember, I'm the guy who writes books and characters. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So I'm going to give, I want to do this one. I think. Because I usually do things in pairs, but this is an odd group and I'm trying to see what I need to omit. I'm usually used to like 7 to 9, so it's kind of like, all right, I have to omit something, and how am I going to pair everything up? All right, so I have another one for you. I think I'm going to use something else. So spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. Basically, it's going to sweep through all of the FM radio stations at a very quick rate. If you watch the YouTube videos and the ghost hunting shows, you know that that's just a very fast movement of white static noise, and then Zach Bagans tells you when he thinks he heard in the middle of it. It's kind of the same principle, only mine is slowed down. I want the radio chatter to come through. So with that being said, the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials, if you hear something in between the sweeps of the radio stations, I want you to let us know what that is. So this guy records the entire session for us, which is super cool if it's going to work. Come on. It gave me trouble the other day too. There you go. Okay, so it's recording even when it's on mute, and it will not record any outside noise. I know, it's a weird technology. It's the reason why I bought this thing. So it's recording right now. So I'm going to turn it up just so you guys get the gist of what it sounds like. It can be annoying, and it's not the easiest thing to listen to. This noise, that's what I heard. So that would be something that I would shout out. I heard this noise because it came from whatever commercial or whatever. Now, the reason why we recorded is so that we can verify it tomorrow morning and I can catch more stuff. So, techie guy, this is going to go to you. You have one button to worry about. I know. You should have had something more complicated, right? It's a wheel, okay? You control the volume. That's it. Don't hit the button, you'll shut it off. That's it. Like you do this whole, I make everything super simple, by the way. Everything's super simple. So let's stick with spirit boxes for a minute, because I use several types. Mom, we're gonna go with you on this one. This one's up here. Yeah, I use a lot of weird cell phones. So my wife works for Best Buy during her day job. So she's the cell phone manager, so we have plenty of cell phones lying around. So I was able to hook up whatever I wanted to, which is kind of nice, actually. All right, so this one is a little different. It is an app. So what it's going to do is it's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen, and then it's going to save all those words to a list. The cool thing about this is it saves the list for us. However, here's what I'm going to tell you about the list. 80% of it doesn't mean a damn thing. Most of it's junk, okay? It's meant to be a game and a hoax. What we want is the 5 to 20% that I'm going to be able to verify why that word or phrase is relevant to the location where we are, something going on with us, or a person I'm talking about. Does that make sense to everybody? It's kind of the same thing like what he's listening for, only you just have to read it. Pretty simple. All you got to do is hold it. Let us know what words it tells us.
Okay.
So it's meant to be a game or a hoax, and it says that it's sweeping through FM radio stations, picking up random words, but we are all going to be using electronic devices. So my belief is that the spirit world can manipulate electronics and be able to communicate to us through them. So that's the principle behind it.
You know what allows them to do that? The other theory?
I don't. Most people will tell you that they're made of pure energy and electromagnetic fields are what influences that. Now, do I get EMF readers out? Yes, they do. They make sense. That's usually my first point of reference, that's our first tool that's going off. So let's talk about those since we're already on that subject. EMF readers measure 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. Every TV show uses the same one. It's this guy. So the reason why they use it is because it's super sensitive. The first one it's going to measure is natural, comes from the earth. That's why it's not doing anything. The next thing is going to be from electronic devices. So your cell phone is on. Let's see if it's not giving us a Wi-Fi signal, because that doesn't have any service. So the cell phone is going to make it go into a rhythm. We don't want that either. Okay? Really what we want out of this thing is for it to go erratic. And again, you've seen I had to touch it with my hand to be able to determine where it was going to go. So we're looking for this thing to go a little crazy. Do I get excited with just this thing going crazy? No. We usually need something else. So we're going to go with you on this one so we can learn more about why they do stuff the way they do. You guys are very attentive. I'm going to tell you that right now. The last type of spirit box we're going to be using, and I want you guys, did you guys watch the ghost hunting shows and the YouTube stuff?
No.
Well,
I've seen them before, but I haven't really watched
so a lot of times, like, their methods are they're going to try one device at a time and see what happens. That's not my method. I throw everything I got at it. I want them to have the opportunity to do something, not just with one device. And especially if the different devices actually match up, then that's even better. That actually happened the other night, believe it or not. Some 2 people with 2 different spirit boxes heard the exact same thing. Like, it was crazy. Like, and it was a last name that made sense in that location.
Huh.
So,
Are those like famous historian last names? Or?
yeah. So as we go through the history of all these different locations, I will kind of give you the gist of, like, some places I'm going to say, okay, ask these questions. Other places I'm going to say, ask these questions, but you're not going to know the answers. And then by the last place, you're going to be asking your own type of question, because it's a very complex story, and I need more out of it. So, last spirit box is going to go to you. Works the exact same way his does, only it doesn't record. So this way Mom can kind of help you out, and you guys can verify what you heard together. You only have one button as well. It's on the side of the speaker right here. You hold it up to turn the volume up. It takes a minute. And then obviously you hold it down to turn the volume down. That's all you need to do. So spirit boxes, we're going to talk a lot about at our first location, because there are certain more effective ways to get answers out of it. We still have you to go, huh?
He talks even less than the rest of us.
He's
That's
been the
okay.
most excited out of the 4 of us.
You
too.
carry mine.
Oh no, I got stuff. I got a full
I
bag
don't
of
want
goodies.
this.
I got a full bag of goodies. You're going to be helping out Dad. Am I correct in saying these are your kids?
Yes.
I hate to assume.
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
Okay.
There's been no
Some people
DNA
bring
test,
nephews.
but-
Like, you'd be surprised. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
those are my nephews.
No, these are mine.
All right. So we have to debunk what's going on with Dad's camera in the event that he captures something. So you 2 have to work as a team. If Dad is standing where I'm at, and he says, Nick, there's a blue blob on that wall. We all know what this guy is, right? Surface temperature. Okay? The red dot measures only where the red dot lands. I'm going to measure the wall to see if it's on the wall. If it's not there and the temperature is the same all the way across, I need ambient temperature, which is basically the temperature between Dad and the wall. So literally you're going to move this probe back and forth trying to find where that blue blob is coming from. It's the bottom number you're looking for. So The top one is humidity. We don't care about that. That's a whole different science what goes. We're not getting into that complication. It's the temperature that I'm more concerned about. We're going to talk a lot about thermal imaging in the first location, but yes, you get both of those. Here's what I'm going to tell you about lasers, especially your red dot. It can set off car alarms, and it can also get Nick arrested in downtown Charleston. So we're going to be very careful with the red laser. Now, I do have laser grids that I use on this tour too, so those are going to be kept in the bag. If you guys want me to demonstrate real quick, I'm happy to do so. It is super cool, but again, it's Nick in a lot of trouble when I have it out in the wrong hands. So
There we go, right down.
what's that?
I just reminded him.
Oh,
That is the baby of the group, so.
it'll be fine. Trust me. You'll hear me say, move that red dot. Move the red dot.
And then
Can't go on cars.
cats are going to come out of everywhere.
Yeah, they do. All right, so this guy.
Oh, cool.
So what does this guy do? We usually have this teamed up with a digital camera, so you can't see the lasers from the pen to the ground until something passes through. So we have somebody taking pictures through the grid constantly, trying to capture something that's going to pass, because it's going to be very quick. It's not going to hang out here and say, right, hey, take a picture, I'm right here. It's literally going to be that quick. It's going to be a quick flash of the eye. So I get stuff with this guy all the time. I have another one that actually gives me red squares, and if we capture something in that, I could put that in 3D software and then get a full 3D view of the apparition that we caught. So again, it gets very complicated. Lasers aren't always super exciting because you don't usually catch it in real time because it's that fast. So that team, they're kind of like, you gave me a digital camera and a light, So, but I'll keep it handy just in case we want to pull it out later. At least that one. All right, so everybody has a device, everybody has a job at this point. We start here for a reason, of course. Questions, comments, concerns? None? And I lost names again, so we're going to go through them. Dave.
Sherry.
Hunter.
Tyler.
Hazel.
Nikki.
I'm not going to forget yours. So, and I also do that for the recording, so that way I can kind of remember who had what. So again, I'm horrible with names. I got to go back to the previous chapter and find out what character I made up. I'm that guy. So, this place used to be called Big John's back in the 1950s through the 1970s, the place that you guys are leaned against. Big John was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. He used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets that came over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink. One night, two guys come in, they're not old enough. Big John tells the bartender, get them out of here. They leave, they're pretty angry. So they come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John sees what's happening, they get into a big bar brawl. A couple of shots were fired, he gets shot in the neck and the bullet ricochets and lands on the wall. Big John finishes beating up the two guys and he goes back to the bar and he tells the bartender, get me another beer and go get them an ambulance. Now, nobody died in that story. So what's haunting the place? The bullet hole. It's still here. So, has John's blood on it. Obviously it's in the wall somehow, probably embedded. And I don't know if they're renovating this place, so I actually have to verify if it's still there. Now, the only place I've ever gotten EMF in this building with your device is in the front of the bar. So I started asking around the other tour guides, and they basically said that people that sit in the front of the bar get a little queasy, nauseous, headaches, those kind of things, because that's where the bullet hole is. If any of you are feeling any of those things tonight, please let me know immediately. We will move us to a much safer place. I don't say that to scare you, because this is not a scary tour. I say that because it's a health hazard. I've had psychics not make it. I've had people pass out. Some of this activity can be too much for them. Yeah, even though I can't guarantee paranormal activity, because the ghosts aren't on my payroll, I just like to put out the disclaimer. So let's get our minds off of our own health, right? Let's talk about somebody else's death. So, this building, we had a big earthquake here in 1886, so if you've taken any type of tour in Charleston, they probably told you about that. But allegedly, this is where the first death occurred. Are you measuring your armpits? Yeah. I see.
He is 15.
So normally my 15-year-old daughter's on the tour so she can help. But
Yeah.
obviously it's a school night.
Oh, is it?
All right. You guys would have just been, she loves this stuff. So it's a school night. She had to go back to her mom's. So.
Spring break.
For us.
Yeah. Her spring break isn't for another 2.5 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of weird stuff like that.
We're in Florida, and yeah, it's.
Oh, we're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird in South Carolina. We make up our own laws. We might as well still be part of England. So, the way this stuff runs around here. But anyway, so apparently the piece of the mantle that's above your head's killed somebody. I don't even know the guy's name because it's an alleged story. I don't have any verifiable proof. But the previous bar owner here used to see dark shadows after closing. I have talked to him about that. So very interesting stuff out of this place. And again, I like to bring up Big John because sometimes he shows up in our next location. So, you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. We're going to go this way. Nikki's like, let's get this going.
Stick with you.
What's up, Big John?
Big John?
Crazy. Look at the phone. Look at the phone.
Oh, it's been saying crazy for a while.
Finding you.
Yeah, it is funny.
No, it said crazy the whole time.
Yeah, it can say no, not the whole time, just for a while.
Oh,
Now it
right.
says ordinary.
Tell him.
Good.
Should I turn my cell phone off?
No, it says what?
Ordinary.
Oh, because it stopped flashing. It was in your pocket. I was like,
So, that EMF meter will start to go off usually when we walk in here. Sometimes it waits until we're about to leave and it says, wait a minute, I do have something to say. So that's when I have to bring Kurt back for a few more minutes and see what happens. So this is kind of like your first hands-on training. There's not a whole lot of history here, but there's enough for us to go on. So this is what I call the Big Red Barn Lot. So the horses for your carriage rides, did you guys say you took a carriage ride? Your horses are inside. They are still inside. So
We saw
the laser guy, Tyler, no lasers on the building. You will spook the horses.
Okay.
Okay. As far as spirit boxes, if you're going the loud ones at least, so that would be Hunter and yours. When you're close to the building, keep them audible to you only. They don't like the static. They will kick. If you wanted a jump scare, there it is. So let me tell you the history of this building. It's very brief. This is the same building that we had horses that delivered milk to Charleston. That's it. So let's talk about spirit boxes. This is not TV. This is not, is somebody here? If they answer no, that means somebody's here. Okay, so we're going to stay away from yes and no questions altogether. There's always a way to reword questions. Ask the English guy if you're having trouble. It's perfectly fine. So we're going to go after something simple that you know the answer to. We're going to do that suggestive thought in your head first, okay? Just so you get used to listening to spirit boxes and watching your screens. So we can all agree that the barn is red. If somebody is colorblind, I'm sorry, I'm telling you. The truth is the barn is red. So I actually had a colorblind guy on my phone the other night. It was horrible.
We have a friend that's colorblind, yeah.
Oh, I felt so bad.
He sees only yellow.
He joked back at me.
Oh.
He's like, what color's the yellow barn? You know, that kind of,
yeah.
It was funny. But anyway, he wasn't offended at all. But anyway, we're going to be asking, what color is the barn? And you're going to be listening for the color red. You're going to ask several times in like 30-second intervals. Okay, so if you don't hear something like the color red itself, also keep in mind, this is like Bumblebee from Transformers. Did you guys all see the movie Transformers? Okay, so it's the same principle. He's talking through the radio. So they might find something that is specifically red, like a fire truck, or fire itself, a cardinal. You might hear those kind of terms. This is about putting clues together. So again, you know the suggestive word is red, but you could hear something else. In the event you don't get anything after a couple of tries, we'll say 3 or 4, try a new question like, what's inside the barn? We've just opened up a whole can of worms. We have horses in there, and I told you before that they were delivery horses for milk. They also delivered eggs. So sometimes I get the words calcium and protein. They're also draft horses. That's their breed, so we might get the word draft. In the event you don't want to go after very simplistic stuff like that, I can prove who Big John's teammates were by their jersey numbers and their first names. I have the full roster. It's pretty easy to look up. So if you want to go after football, if you guys are sports people, by all means, do so. That stuff I can prove. When you're thinking of questions to ask, stay away from how do you feel about this or things that I can't prove. I need to give you guys verifiable links back. So if we actually hear something, which hopefully we will, we want to be able to give that stuff back to you. So spirit box is really simple. Like, we're not going to spend a ton of time here, but I am going to work with the thermal imaging team just to give you guys a little bit more insight on how that stuff works, because there are science laws that you guys kind of need to know about before you really know what the hell you're looking at on there. You're going to be waiting, like you guys are going to be basically walking together. Whenever this thing gets into a hot spot, like, it's moving now. I'm excited. So that's good stuff. So now hopefully something else is going off too. So you guys are going to find a spot where you guys are not interfering with the red spirit box. and that way he can do his own question and answer. And you can probably work with mom, you know, work those two spirit boxes together. That's fine, because I'm gonna take Tyler and Dad. So stay within the confines of the lot so we can all see each other. We're not.
Seriously, look.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Now nothing.
No, nothing.
So
You jinxed that.
He ran
This
away.
is why it's called ghost hunting. They're not going to hang out with you. You got to find them. You got to
Buddy.
talk to them. And it is a word spoken out loud. All right, so spirit box teams, go scatter. Stay within the confines of the lot. I'm going to pull you guys over up here to this wall.
Maybe they go somewhere.
All right, so is this what you guys thought you were getting yourselves into?
Oh, God, no.
Shit, he's putting me to work. Point your camera at the wall for me. What do you see?
Blue, well, blue, oh, red, turning red now. Yeah.
Red and pink.
Right, because it's
Mostly, yeah.
mostly red. Watch what happens when you put some skin in there. Now what happened to the wall?
Oh, it's blue.
The wall's blue, right? Oh, yeah, I
Right.
see.
So really what I'm looking for is we got enough people here. I mean, it's a smaller group that I normally have, but we still have enough people here to try to keep somebody's skin intact. And you can even use him all night if you want to. You can use me, I don't care. The reason for that is because now we have a fluctuation of color. Now I can see much easier what is actually happening. So I'm going to show you a quick clip of something that I actually caught. It's not last night's because I haven't clipped that
So the
out.
point of recording all this is for you're gonna like go through this stuff
Yep.
the next day and
Yep.
look and see if there's anything
Right.
that shows up. Right.
Now I'm going to skim through it in hot spots. So
Good. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you don't tell me, like, if we don't get a whole lot of activity out of them, I'm not going to look in this particular time frame.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I always want multiple things going on. And then I'm going to talk more about what your job actually is instead of just holding and pointing, shooting people in the eye with a red dot. I normally don't give any lasers to kids, but I think he'll be fine. So, give me just a second. Facebook does not let me keep it on one page here, and I do a lot of social media stuff. So there it is. All right, so this is our next location. The orange brick that you see across, that's one big cement wall, so that's why it's the warmest thing. So I'm going to rewind it and start it over again. You're going to see two living people going past the wall, and that's kind of our point of reference. Do you see their heads?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so they're alive. We're not going to get excited yet. It's the two dead people. They're going to be walking the opposite way once the camera settles. So they're going to be right there next to that post. Boom, boom. So I've had this analyzed by mechanics and firemen and all people that use that thing as an actual piece of their job. And it's not a car. It's not anything but two dead people walking by on the other side of the wall. So, and the reason why they called me up there to begin with was because they thought they saw some shadows. I went up there to go debunk it. I caught that the next morning. So your job, point your camera back at the wall for me again, and I want you to put your red dot on that wall, and you guys are going to tell me what temperatures you have.
Oh, 68.
63.5.
Okay, so that's surface temperature. He's getting all the air in between. So in the event your temperature drops below what his says, that's when you're going to pull out the yellow one. The yellow one's not so exciting until you absolutely need it. I just like to have it at the ready. So you're basically going to be shooting dots on random things. In this particular lot, we have wood, metal, asphalt, foliage, all kinds of mess. You guys are going to kind of get a quick gist of how thermodynamics works on what type of materials fluctuate and how they work. What holds temperature, what doesn't. It's a little chilly down here for us tonight. So I think the temperature still says it's like 69, so the asphalt is probably going to still hold some heat from earlier's 73 to 75 degree temperatures down here.
Yeah, it's a little bit warmer.
Right.
70s.
It's always going to hold a little bit more.
Right.
But wood, brick, and like foliage, it's going to be chillier, probably a few degrees colder than the ambient temperature.
Right.
Your ambient temperature, it'll shut off all the time, just so you know. So your yellow device, the on button, yep, you got it. That's it. You just turn it right back on again whenever you need it. It's the bottom number. So that's when we need it. I actually have one that reacts quicker on the way, just because that one takes a few seconds and the ghost could be gone by the time we actually detect it. So I have a new one coming. I'm constantly upgrading. So let's see what we found out on these spirit boxes. Are we getting anything on that list?
No.
All right, so let me show you a little trick on that, so in case you missed something.
Harvest.
So hit that little square to the right.
That?
Yep.
It says
Give you
harvest.
everything that you came up with so far.
But it's
and
like
you can scroll through
animals,
it.
like a farm.
So in case you missed something, because I
This
was
is 1.2.
talking, I'm looking for
These
words
are
that
the
might
bar,
actually make
right?
sense
I'm
here.
pointing this.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't see any teammate. So I'm hoping a name's going to pop up somewhere else. Did you guys hear any names? So hopefully you're
I heard the
recording.
number 79, but that was from a radio station, not from like.
That's what I want.
Oh, I was confused.
I want you to listen to the radio stations. Again, it's like Bumblebee from Transformers.
Okay, I
That's
never
his
saw
voice.
that.
Okay. Basically think of the DJs as a ghost voice. It's a 50-50 shot that it might actually be something. So 79 might be the year that Big John closed the bar down and he walked away or something. You see where I'm going? Like I'll try to connect it. But teammate, like that's a big deal. So I'm hopefully going to have a piece on yours that gives me a name, and you have 79. That could be a jersey number. So again, depending on the time frames, I'll sync it up and see how it all matched up together. So you guys all kind of have the gist of how your spirit boxes work. Have you heard anything?
I didn't hear anything. No.
Okay. Did you turn it on?
Yeah, I did.
Well, no,
Okay.
we've heard stuff, but
Well, it's nothing that stood out to me.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, anything you can make out, because you don't know all the history, and I don't either. I'm not going to pretend I'm Google for all the locations we're on.
Yeah,
I
they've
still-
said words, but it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you heard stuff, just kind of keep in the back of your head what you heard. And this place, again, this is kind of the novice area. The next location, I'm not going to give you the answers like what color is George Washington's white horse, you know, with the red barn. We're not going to be doing that kind of stuff.
Do I go back?
Yeah, just hit the circle back. Just don't hit those
Reap.
red X's. What is it?
Reap.
Oh. Again, part of the 80% BS. Doesn't mean a damn thing.
Okay.
So it's meant to be scary.
Okay.
So you guys ready to go learn some history now?
I have one real quick unrelated question. Could we have parked back here?
No.
Oh.
Because we tried to park at like this spot.
Where did you park?
The mom is right.
In
In
the
a parking garage that we're
garage.
paying for.
We just
and
went to the
On
garage a
Cumberland?
couple blocks down, yeah.
Oh, well, that's where we end.
Oh,
So,
Cool.
and I have a garage down there too. I'm
Beautiful.
not in the big one. I'm the one further down. It's real small.
okay, yeah.
Way cheaper than the big one.
Trying to park
Here.
from where spot.
From the
We're at
hotel.
Belmont. We're at Belmont. The Charleston Belmont, that's right here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll be able to get you back pretty quick. It'll be like
It was 8 minutes walk there.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
no,
nice.
Yeah,
that's
it was-
about how
yeah.
far we are, yeah.
We,
About
but it
5
was a
days.
whole thing trying to figure out where to park.
yeah, it always is. That's why I usually say I get down here early to try to secure parking. But now that I have a garage, I don't have to. I don't have to fight for spaces in the summertime anymore. So, all right, let's go learn some history. That sounds like
Guide?
fun, right?
Is that still trying to?
He's our
What
guide.
is it?
He's the ghost.
Probably.
He's our guide.
I said
I
guide.
think I
Died.
Died?
Not
Oh,
guide.
died.
Died past.
He died.
That's obviously Somebody's obviously died.
Yeah. When I said something happening around us, a lot of times somebody walking the dog by.
I would have lost if I heard Big John playing on the radio.
I might say walking.
Huh?
Would have lost it if Big John played on the radio on one of the stations. Would have did.
Oh, this is what the people walk by. I'm like, dude.
Have it on recording.
I'm like,
What'd you
right
think?
now.
There's so many right there.
Yeah, I'm like, right now.
Cool spots.
Just in case you expect it.
Last week I was carrying hot dogs around. It was that cold out.
What?
If you get tired, tell me, Dave. I'll switch with you.
All right.
I think we find out something.
Yep.
Bad. Bad.
What?
Is that what you got?
Yeah.
Bad.
I'm talking about the restaurant. I don't eat out, so don't ask me where to eat unless you want to know where to spend $100. Alright, so let's go ahead and get those gear boxes turned down. There's quite a bit to learn here. And let's get everybody away from that's the only entrance and exit. And yes, another beautiful spot of Charleston. I bring you to another parking lot. Good job, guys. So this place actually holds quite a bit of historical significance for Charleston. So what we're looking at is where the Charles and Eliza Pinckney mansion site used to be. So their mansion faced East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was where that truck is and came all the way across. And we're standing where the servant quarters was there. So who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? They had a son named Charles. That's the second Charles. And then they had a nephew named Charles. That's the third Charles. And the son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. Very big deal for Charleston. However, I hate politics. I'm sure everybody else in the group does, I hope. And we just had an election, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Right? Good stuff. Let's talk about Eliza, because it's Women's History Month, in case y'all didn't know that. And this is one of the things I've been pushing on, because I do talk a lot of the ladies of Charleston. So anyway, Eliza, she married Charles at a very young age. Again, keep in mind, I'm not giving you all the answers. I know how old she was when she got married, but you guys can ask your spirit boxes when I set you guys free in here. Because Dad thought he was dying over in England. That's where she's from. So she didn't want to go home, so she got married. didn't give her citizenship because this is colonial times, mid 1700s. So pretty much just said, Dad, I don't want to go home. I'm going to get married and stay here. That's all it said. She was right. Dad got better, and she didn't have to go back. But Dad started sending her gifts over from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. You guys have been driving around and walking around Charleston for at least a few days. You've probably seen the word indigo a few times. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dad, that makes our blue jeans blue. Who's wearing blue jeans? Not one person?
Me.
Oh, okay.
I am.
Sorry, it's dark out here, guys.
Yeah.
I know I'm nocturnal, but I'm not that nocturnal. But yeah, that's how we use it today. So it even if you think of like the Civil War uniforms, where the Union had blue uniforms, they're made out of indigo on that wool, and then the Confederates, we had gray uniforms down here. That's just less indigo. So kind of keep that in mind. Indigo is a pretty big deal. Also, the color royal blue, that's where it came from, because indigo was dyed into clothing overseas. So they made it such a huge cash crop because our rice plantations were going downhill, and we needed something else to save Charleston. So they used the indigo because it was expensive. She used gas contacts to be able to sell it overseas. She makes her a businesswoman in the 1700s, which is something that's absolutely unheard of. So Eliza's done a lot for her country, but we're going to go into some of the weird facts that you guys can ask about her. Yeah, her EMF has been going a little nutty, so it's good. And again, this would be my... Oh, look at that. Isn't that what we're doing? So, kind of weak. I need something a little bit more direct. Okay. We'll take it. Just keep telling me what they are. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So, they both go by their maiden name. Not their middle name, their maiden name. Eliza blank Pinckney. So, they both start with L. That's all I'm telling you. You would ask what her maiden name was. You can also ask how old she was when she got married. You can ask how old Charles was when they got married. There's a big age gap between them. You can ask anything you want to about Eliza's death. Eliza's...
She doesn't like Eliza.
Actually, she does. So whenever I say Eliza, it goes over. I know. It's common.
Do we have the answer to all the above?
No. You're going to find them out on the spirit boxes. I'm going to tell you after. So you guys, whatever you miss, I'm going to tell you all the gaps and fill them in. So anything about her death. How old she was, what did she die from, where is she buried, where did she die, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Yeah. That shows you how important she was, that a president carried her to her grave. That's a pretty big deal, especially during those times, which was 1793 when she died. So, it's a little clue on your presidency. So start going through your list in your head. I know you all are.
Once President Taft, it would be too late.
Now, you can also ask how many children she had. That's...
Okay, let's go.
So, hang on. Last week, I had an EVP come through that spirit box, the one you're holding, and it was disembodied. What does that mean? It means it wasn't the radio chatter that I'm telling you all to listen for. It went over 11 channels, and it said, just leave us alone. You have to remember, I'm here twice a night, 6 nights a week.
Oh, you're really making me mad.
Well, last night they cooperated. They gave me a lot of data last night. That was last week. I probably...
Maybe we'll be worried this guy. Don't leave us alone.
Right? Give him something extra. And I get a lot of stuff. And in the video that I showed you guys on the temp, this is where it occurred. It was actually up in that corner. Yeah, so we get a lot of stuff out of this. You guys are going to stay within the confines of the lot. You're going to collect the vehicles and buildings around it. And keep them pretty much to the ground and to the walls and things like that. Working team. Let's see who can capture here. This is where I take a 5-minute break from the map, chatting with y'all. Oh, you can also ask what happened to the mansion. A lot of things on there.
Let me go.
Where are we going? Hunter, ask what happened to the mansion and where she died.
Who knows first?
What I find, and that's where I talk about, like, giving up the answers. Why?
Just the brother.
Look for black dogs. Oh. That's the car.
Yeah. It's like swished.
The big camera, the tradition, shrinking and then spice.
Yeah, I think so.
Just a bit of warning with filming.
Some of these people that come in back in for their cars, they get a little leery about a camera being on their vehicle.
No, I got
So at that point, you just hold the cell phone.
All right.
It's not that I've never been screamed at before, and it's not like I've never ran from setting off a car alarm either with a whole group of 10. That's been fun.
Oh, lovely.
All right, guys, this one's over next. Like, let's go. But yeah, I mean, this is what it's about. Everybody gets a job, and that way. So when I do my own investigations, that camera is in my cargo pocket with the camera just hanging out. The red spirit box that Hunter has, it's usually on mute in my pocket. The EMF's in my other pocket. This is usually on my smaller bag as far as the recording. And this, I have the word list thing going on my phone. So I have all that stuff going.
Wow.
And I just walk in and enjoy the museum or wherever I'm going. And that's, nobody knows what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
I just went, I did Gettysburg that way. I did 3 locations up there. I did the Shanksville 9/11 memorial that way. And I just got back from Fort Sumter, was that last month? A month before?
Yeah.
So putting all that one together, that's going to be my next episode. I still have like 5 files sitting on my desk with all the data to go through.
Wow, crazy, cool.
But yeah, I got to keep the podcast going. I mean,
Right.
it's a moneymaker too. So people love this stuff, man. Love it. Especially when I can find concrete evidence. Like nobody's ever claimed that the 9/11 memorial is haunted. And the stuff I got out of that, it was an hour episode. It was the longest one I've ever done. There was so much data there.
I could totally see that it would be.
Well,
Nobody explains it.
Yeah, but it's
explained it in no way.
because of the strong American tie to it. Most people don't want to try to disrespect it. Of course, I made it a very respectable episode.
Right, yeah, that makes
Where it
sense.
wasn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I wasn't making anything scary. It was a very respectable episode. I got people's names that died on the plane. I got, you know, the word Iraqi came through. I got crash. You know, all these things that came up with planes. Like it was crazy. And of course, I go into an investigation normally blind. Like, I don't know anything about the place other than, we'll see if this is haunted. I do the research later.
Not part of the game.
Yeah, I don't pay them at all, guys. They're not on the payroll.
I wasn't expecting that.
It's on your audio. We'll see if it's an EVP.
No, it was that guy coming out the back door.
Probably see us all working out here with spirit boxes.
Right.
I'm out here
Oh,
every
yeah.
night. So.
Right.
But have fun with it, man. Get
Yeah,
some different temperatures and that, because this is gravel and there's some mud in here too. So I'm sure you're seeing some different variations on the ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna see hot and cold in here. But sorry to kind of give you the accomplished job, but that's the way this rolls.
All right, let's take a walk over here. Yeah, put your dot on this fence over here.
On the wall?
Yeah.
That's a kid. Mine's 64.
7, 68, 67.
That's 64.4 and staying on that. Where the light is 63. But it's if you're so slow.
Alright. What are we getting on here at?
Just go by the trash can. We can go over there too, because what if somebody's trying to get food and they get the food they want and they killed them? You never know. What about the wall? Maybe turn the photo. No, not there. That place looks scary. I want to know how much of a mansion.
Okay.
Low temperature. On the wood. 60.
We asked children. We asked how many children she had.
Walk over past the
Doesn't say it on the wall.
42.
65. Oh, that kind of does.
Those are looking over there and it's completely
Okay,
different.
Eliza, I'm just going to ask you for scary stories.
So great.
I'm not seeing anything out of place.
This is fun, but not as fun as it can be right now.
Wait a minute.
See
What
a
year
whole
did she
family.
die? Eliza, what year did she die? What, 19 something? That's impossible. Eliza, what year did you die? Okay, Eliza, how did you die? Eliza, how did you die? No, that's cheating. He's gonna tell us later. No, that's cheating. That's taking facts. Eliza, how did you die?
I don't know we recorded them either.
Eliza, how old were you when you died?
It's just saying 15.
How old were you when you died?
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, something? Another something coming. Oh, man, it's pretty dark over there. There's a lot of fun. Shine back there. Where's yours at? 67. Almost 68.
71 -ish.
68. The side of the building is like white lines on it.
Just looking. Yeah. Who knows? Here, take this one.
Looking for the bottom one.
To do what?
That's the temperature. The top one's the humidity. Don't sound on the car.
Okay.
He said not to. He said it sets off car alarms. Dang, that wall is 78 degrees. Okay, 10 degrees different. On them. What is it? 72. That's not me.
Oh, shoot.
We switched.
No, we didn't.
What? She said that's the worst person I could be to.
That's a house. You gotta get that out the house.
Oh, shoot.
He did it. Oh, 74, 75, pretty hot.
I don't know, but it did. You were going to tell a story and you went lie. I was like, just stuck on the laugh.
Why is it? There's nothing over here. We need to go somewhere else. Camera crew. Camera
All right,
crew.
listen for a couple more minutes. Are you guys finding anything weird besides red dots on houses?
No.
No.
So nothing crazy?
No.
All right, so far they got the number 23.
Oh.
23 makes sense because that was the age gap between her and Charles when they got married. So she was 22, he was 45. 23 showed up here again the other night too. So we're gonna get, because I was talking their ear off, I'm gonna give them a few more minutes to listen to their spirit box. Did you guys catch something else?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
All right, well, let's spend another 5 minutes here. Again, we get a lot of activity out of this place, so I like to spend as much time as I can. If it's still not getting much, we'll move on. So we're not getting anything on the thermal in, and then I'll give you guys the answers, and we'll see what's going on. I don't really keep an eye on time. It's all based on how much activity we're getting, just so you guys know. I'm not the guy that says, okay, your 90 minutes is up, have a great night, we're done. Like, I'm not that guy. You got it. No, it's a good guy.
Can we walk over there and see if there's anything?
That's actually a good hot spot for spirit boxes.
Put it up, yeah. What is it?
64,
Mine's like 63.
what?
Mine's like 63.
What is it supposed to be?
It's lower.
Is it? Oh, it's blue, that's why.
Well, yeah, but it's 10 degrees difference again.
Yeah, that's wood, it's going to register closer to normal.
What?
Is this show? Show!
Oh,
Ah,
shut up. Don't shout.
Like a half a second, but we're slow.
What?
Oh, and now Caden.
Who's?
Caden.
Go ask him who Caden is. Go ask him.
Who is Caden?
Go ask him who Caden
Who's
is.
Caden?
Go ask him. Not me. I don't know.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Oh, I swear I just said Caden.
I didn't hear it.
I swear it said Caden.
I said it.
No, that thing said Caden. No, like I'm being serious, by the way. I'm not kidding. I swear that thing just said Caden. Go ask him. No. Nothing sussy-wussy.
Nothing over here in this corner? What? That one.
No. 77, 76. Yeah, they're all like 10-degree different. Do you know how to use the walkie-talkie looking thing? $70. Ooh. What is that for you, right there?
68.
Oh, it's the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like 67 to 68.
Move over to the left a little bit. Still the same?
It's like 65.
Go to the left again.
It's like 64 to 65.
Back over here.
66? 67?
No, right there.
66, 67. Is it the same? Oh no.
68-ish.
Mine's 64 right there.
Right over there by the wall.
63, 64?
There's warmer over here by it. I don't know what makes it different. Maybe it's further away.
I can walk over here and try. No, it's colder over here. 64, 64 to 65. And over there it's 68. But it's cooler. It's like 74, 76, 75.
That's 62.
Let's get you guys some answers.
That's 62.
It's
here.
hotter over there.
Hotter over there.
Yeah. Much cooler here, yeah.
So,
Means anything.
we were trying to tie because we did hear the number 5, and my daughter and I were like, the number 5 keeps showing up here, we can't understand why. Then you guys heard the number 23 earlier, which I related to the years of difference in age between her and Charles. So I thought maybe she died maybe May 23rd, it was May 26th. So, we're gonna take 5, I'm trying to figure out where that's gonna come into play. I've been researching like crazy. But anyway, the answers, Eliza Pinckney was 70 years old when she died. So 70 would have been a number I was looking for. She died in Philadelphia while getting treated for breast cancer in 1793. We're obviously going off medical records. Didn't have breast cancer back in the late 1700s, so we're guessing at this point. So cancer comes up a lot here too. It was George Washington.
The first president. No, husband.
Now,
Paul
here's the funny
America.
thing. I
George
kind of
Washington
tested you guys and
president.
told you we weren't going to do the what color is George Washington's white horse, just to see if you all had that suggestive thought, and you all passed. Good job. None of you came up with George Washington as the president. So, I do that on purpose to see if suggestive thinking is a thing. I'm also doing experiments myself with you guys. So, let's see. The fire, or the mansion did burn down from the Great Fire of 1861. So, Eliza wasn't alive, obviously, because she died in 1793, but the house was still within the family. And it wasn't just this house that burned down. It literally went from the Peninsula Coast to the Peninsula Coast. It went all the way across. So Charleston has dozens of fires, and they're all the Great Fire of whatever year they occurred in. I don't know what caused them. People ask me all the time. So it could have been gunpowder. It could have been a ship blew up. Who knows? I have no idea with this one. Let's see what else. She had 4 children. Some nights she'll tell us 3, because there was one of the children that died as an infant.
What age?
Of the infant, it could have been days or weeks. The tombstone only has the same month in the year. That's it. That's all I know. The other kids, however, they tell me all kinds of things. Sometimes they poke through. Sometimes I get Charles poking through. He gave us his birthday yesterday. It's kind of like, okay, we'll take it. But this is a very interesting lot. We'll see what comes out of the spirit box. Did you guys hear anything while you were walking away? But you guys got Quilt and Hayden.
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 And then I heard it say Caden, but they don't think it said
he thinks he
Caden.
heard it say Caden. I didn't.
Okay, well, yours is recording, so we can verify that.
Again, that power suggestion may come in. Maybe
I know,
you just
right?
thought you heard Caden. It's something.
Exactly. So we're going to walk up now about 4 blocks up East Bay Street to Lodge Alley. Spirit box folks, I'm looking for names. So if you want to listen to your spirit boxes along the way, by all means, I'm not going to tell you what names or why, but again, not giving the suggestive thoughts. Your EMF meter is going to go crazy because of the parking meters.
Yep.
Debunked. So you can pretty much ignore it until we get to our next location. Absolutely no lasers on East Bay Street. So as far as the red gun. And I think that about covers everybody. We don't have the other lasers out. So let's go take a hike. Great. I thought you guys were working. I'm the one getting ready.
Recording?
Yeah. I'm gonna hold this fire.
What you guys were hoping for?
You heard any names, Center?
Hmm?
You heard any names?
You're checking me.
Oh. What if something happens? Good luck sleeping tonight, everybody.
It's gonna go up there.
You think Jones did anything?
That
Jones? Anything?
probably. Steve Jones developed. Yep, sure is. Always the folks from 1801. We're going to explain when we get there.
Huh? Whoa. All right.
Must that mean something to you?
It's like perfect weather for this Steve Jones, right?
Yeah, it is. Remember we made a joke with this alley?
Huh?
Remember we made a joke with this alley
Yeah, we
earlier?
did. This is the alley.
What was it?
Switching alley or something like that.
Something's watching us. Something's watching us. Hi.
We're going to stop here briefly. This is what we consider a quiet area, those little posts all over the building, because this is next to a hotel. I just like to bring you guys up to the telephone and tell you what this is all about. When we crossed that last street by High Cotton, that was where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So now you're in the original Charlestown area. This was one of our first streets. This is Lodge Alley. That's Lodge Alley Inn. Every hotel downtown has a claim of a ghost, but they don't give me free rooms. So I can't verify them. I have to start paying for them. But anyway, the interesting thing about why I asked for names is because this used to be where people lived. Very small homes. I had the full list of residents of everybody that's ever lived here. You've heard the name Jones. Hopefully we get the name Henry before it somewhere else. Henry, and he was a carpenter. So if we get relations with wood or anything along those lines, the interesting thing is I always get the people that lived here in 1801. There was only 5 of them. Normally it's Benjamin and John. The other night, it was funny, 2 different spirit box people came to me and said that they heard the name Johnson, and that would be the John Johnson that I normally hear all the time. They came to me at separate occasions. It was really cool. But he heard the name Jones. It was a Henry Jones that lived here, so hopefully we get those kind of names. This was also where the Masons used to meet, so the name Mason, word Mason's been showing up here a lot too. So we'll kind of see what comes up out of your spirit boxes, and it's been on your word list twice over the past week, I'd say. I've had the word Mason here twice. So the people that used to live here, lower class people, the peninsula of Charleston, all the stuff on the edges is man-made stuff. Obviously all that stuff wouldn't have been there, just the wall. So that smell of low tide would have been coming through here pretty strong, which is a pretty nasty smell if you don't live on a coast. If you don't know what that smells like, you've probably got a whiff of it over the past couple of days. It's pretty bad. So they did do an archaeological dig here, found some of their tools and silverware. They were able to classify these people as lower class, and they found evidence of fires that occurred down here. I told you, lots of fires in Charleston. So this is where I usually focus on the regular spirit box, or on that particular spirit box in the morning, because we keep it down in the quiet area. We're going to be passing through a neighborhood. It's a no laser zone, and it's definitely spirit boxes down until we get to our next location. I'm not allowed to be a tour guide in those areas. So we're going to be 7 friends just passing through for all family at this point. Okay. Like somebody coughing? Pretty bad. You're looking away. I can't. Always come and bring your hat.
See all the ghosts down there. See anything? No. It's just shining down the alley with nobody there, so then if he re-watches it and sees something. What? Getting juicy. Turning up. Huh? What?
He was telling me a story, kid. He was telling me a story earlier and it just popped up live. I was like, that's just wrong. The baby is.
Oh, that's mine. Huh? Okay. Don't care.
I think it is good.
Yeah.
You would think in the church there would be stuff.
So, this is a very popular area, so there's kind of like the legends and lore portion. So, I thought we were going to have the whole corner to ourselves, but that's okay. I tell different stories than they do. I tell you all the weird stuff. So, the alley that we passed, you guys seen all the people coming through? It's the most gorgeous place we have in Charleston. So, if you haven't walked through Philadelphia Alley, do so, night or day. I'm not allowed to take you down there. It used to be part of my tour, but I had to cut it out. But what I will tell you is that alley used to be called Duels Alley. So that's where the duels of Charleston used to occur. Now, I've got some teenagers here, so I'm sure some of you guys have been watching Hamilton. But you should know that duels didn't always end in a death. They usually shot the... Oh, we're going to have all this big group coming through. We're going to let it pass. That's another reason why I had you guys to chill. So we get it all the time. But anyway, so when a death did occur with a duel, they would go through that doorway that's in the wall over there. And they would come over this courtyard and over to the cemetery. They would drop the dead body and then go celebrate the winner. So nobody ever else talks about that door, but it is original and that's why it's there. So that way they could take the loser of the duel straight to his grave. It would already be pre-dug. So
Straight to his grave.
Straight to his grave. Go get a pint to celebrate the new guy. So the story that they're telling up there is very simple. First off, notice that there are two sides of the cemetery. The side that we're sitting on, this is for native Charlestonians only. Our vice president, John Calhoun, has moved 3 different times because they didn't know if he was from here or not. So, he's in a sarcophagus, which is a giant cement tomb. So it probably took 8 to 12 men, pick him up, carry him across the street. So just figure out where he's supposed to go. So this, obviously St. Philip's Church. And I told you guys about the big earthquake. The steeple is off, slightly. Just so you guys know, just a weird Charleston fact. We can't see it, but it's slightly off because of the earthquake. And we are standing on Church Street. This used to be Dock Street, which is home to Dock Street Theater, one of the top 10 haunted locations in America. Are you getting any words, by the way?
Feminist.
Feminist. That's interesting. So, the story he's telling up there is because there's a sign right inside the wrought iron gate of that cemetery that just says there's no ghost at St. Philip's but the Holy Ghost. They don't want guys like me and him going up there hunting for this ghost that apparently occurred there. So what happened was there was a young lady that died in 1888, 6 days after her stillborn child. Now, 1987, we have a local photographer. He's taking pictures. He captures a full apparition of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. That young lady's name was Sue Howard Hardy, by the way. So, that was 99 years later on the exact same day of her death. So, the picture's cursed. I don't show it on my tours because women that hold it are not going to feel well. Same symptoms I told you guys about at Big John's, and then pregnant females are not going to have a good pregnancy. I'm not cursing my tours. You can imagine I'm very superstitious. So if you want to look it up, you have the name on your audio, by all means, do what you will. So that's the story that they're telling there, but there's a lot more that connects here. You guys see the burning gas lamp off there in the distance past the cemetery? That's the pirate house. That's where Blackbeard's men used to come in off the ships have a few drinks, have a place to sleep, and they meet up with a few girls. But then they dug a tunnel from the pirate house over to Dock Street Theater, which at the time would have been Planter's Hotel. They had plays and stuff there, and pirates are great at tying knots, so of course they had jobs. But they would go enjoy a show, and it was also had prostitution. So I tell you all of that because that prostitution piece ties back to St. Philip's. There's a ghost at Dock Street Theater because there was a young lady that worked here at the church. Her name was Nettie Dickerson. Nobody wanted to marry her at the ripe old age of 23. She was too old. She was an old maid at that point. Marrying age was 17. So she sees all the prostitution going on down at Planter's Hotel, and she goes out and buys a red dress. And she goes down there and gets herself a job. Keep it a PG, Mom, don't worry. Mom's all about, like, where are you going with this next?
Yeah.
So I know my crowds. But anyway, she goes down there, she gets a job, she's still not happy. So she's to go out to the second-story balcony and see the church steeple and ponder about coming back. One night, the priest from the church goes down there to convince her to come back to the church, and the storm rolls in, lightning strikes, and kills her because she's leaned on a wrought iron banister of the balcony. Now, I know it's a very abrupt story, but the gist of the ghost is that you can only see her from the knees up. Why is that? Because we renovated Dock Street Theater and raised the first floor ceiling. So on the second floor, she's walking on the floor that she knows. It took a nerd like me, after seeing this apparition, that why don't I have the hem of her dress, and why is she so short? So it took somebody like me to figure out the building was reconstructed. The other ghost you can see there, last one, is Junius Booth, father of John Wilkes Booth, who shot Lincoln in a theater. Irony there, but Junius Booth was a traveling actor. He just happened to be an actor during the time of the first Dock Street Theater. During that same time period, Edgar Allan Poe's mother was a child actress coming through town, and if you don't know any of the ties with Edgar Allan Poe in Charleston, there's a lot. So Edgar Allan Poe was actually stationed in the Army here in Sullivan's Island under the name Edgar Perry. The Annabelle Lee story, have you guys read Annabelle Lee in school? So that whole story happened right here. That's where he was influenced. Now there is another story that he plagiarized it, but we won't get into that. But the story goes that Annabelle Lee, her dad, did not approve of Edgar, so he was sent away, and when he came back from whatever the military sent him away from, Annabelle Lee died, obviously from the poem, and whatever she died from, it was something from the sea, and she just got sick with probably the flu. But he buried 2 unmarked graves, so Edgar couldn't find her. That's in Unitarian Church, about half a mile this way. So there's other tours that take you up there and give you a little bit more detail, but I'm a writer, I have to talk about Poe. There's a lot here with Poe. So we're going to investigate one last building, kind of like what we did with the Pinckney Mansion site. So we're going to actually cross the street. If that group moves and you guys want to go check out the sign, you can. I'm not going to be offended if you want to go check it out, but it's literally just a sign that says, there's no ghost here, but the Holy Ghost. So that's the whole story they tell there. So let's go across the street.
Elizabeth?
We're going to talk about Elizabeth.
Oh, done. At the church.
Cemetery. Anything in the cemetery?
Oh, something.
Elizabeth Deal, report old according area feminist.
Feminist.
Thank you.
Feminist.
And Northeast was under it.
So I was facing. You were facing this way.
Yeah.
So northeast would have been.
This guy knows the cardinal directions on all times. It's weird.
Where's northeast then?
That way.
Okay.
Freaky.
That's right.
I know it is freaky that you.
What?
He's known it because he knows.
I have to stand and face, but I can normally get
It
it.
just knows. It's
Sense of
weird.
direction scares me.
That's a good thing. Maybe we'll.
Never get lost.
I know,
I
right?
do Google Maps to get this back from school sometimes.
To get to the backyard.
No, yeah.
Close.
So, Elizabeth was the sister of Zoe St. Amand. She actually haunts Coogan's Porch. Coogan's Porch is a restaurant over on Queen Street.
My boss told me to go there. Yeah.
It's one of our top 10 haunted locations. I think it's like number 2 or 3.
Tomorrow?
Zoe allegedly died.
Stevens Porch is one of the places that Josh told me to go.
It was an old house. She was a school teacher, so I was waiting for school teacher type things. You did get the word report, but that's still, I'd rather have like tea, pencil, something very relatable. No, allegedly she died in the house by falling down the stairs. I used to tell this story when I had a different route, so that's why we're going to talk about Elizabeth, but Elizabeth likes to show up too. That word feminist might show up because both sisters lived together their entire lives and never married. Could have been a feminist. I don't have that much info. So kind of a stretch, but it is what it is. We'll see if anything else comes up. Now the other night, I'm standing right here where we are, and Zoe and Elizabeth show up back to back on the Spirit Box word list. So I was like, okay, I guess I better tell the Zoe and Elizabeth story. So, last location. We're going to be looking at this building right here. It looks like it has crosses on it. Those are actual earthquake bolts. Did anybody explain earthquake bolts to you guys? No. Okay, so yes and no. The earthquake bolts are basically, if we had a big earthquake, which scared the hell out of us, we put bolts going through the floors and the roof of our buildings, so that way if they get quaked again, the bolts will tighten up and it straightens the building back up. That's the big thing. The ones you're looking at over there are very crude. They're not even cut the same length. They're the very first earthquake bolts that we put in house. Why? Because that is the oldest government building on the East Coast. Okay, so that's the powder magazine. Hold gunpowder from 7 different wars.
I'll say we were there this morning.
They explained how the building is set up.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, you went there and they didn't tell you how to
Well, they told us the thickness and all that. They didn't tell us about
brick in the
those.
sand.
Right.
They didn't
So
tell
you
us
guys
about
didn't hear
that.
this, right? Okay, so it is, well, let me kind of point things out. Remember I told you we're inside the Charlestown walls? That wall ran right up to the tumbling street. So it went right in front of the powder magazine and went up about half a block. So literally the powder magazine is sitting in the corner of the furthest spot away from the water. So if it were to get attacked, the 32-inch thick walls would,
They were thick, yeah.
they would protect the gunpowder, and if it did get attacked and it penetrated through that, then the sand would go up, and of course the gunpowder is going to go up in flames, so it was supposed to put the fire out. Now, it's not effective if we had another powder magazine was attacked, or did get attacked, and the sand did not put out the fire. It destroyed the entire building, so it's no longer there. So, really cool, but it just isn't effective. However, the sand from 1712, when they built this thing, is still in the roof. Sand doesn't disintegrate, so it's still there. So, yeah, crazy stuff. They had to do some repairs on the shingles and whatnot, and you can see the sand underneath. It's really interesting. I haven't been here that long, but of course, I've read all the articles. So, what's the significance of this place in the coast? During the time period that this place was being built, which would have been a full decade, 1703 to 1713, a young lady moved to town from Ireland with her dad and her mother. Her mother was the father's mistress. So to get away from the father's wife in Ireland, he picked up his mistress and his child and moved here. It's a pretty far distance, so that wife was probably burned pretty good, I'm sure, if he had to come this far, especially during those times. This would have been like 1708, 1709. So she would have seen this building being built almost a shot. It's probably nothing. So she becomes a teenager, this building is finished, and we got pirates coming through town. Falls in love with one. So father doesn't approve because Anne at this point is like 16, 17 years old. She runs away to Jamaica. Oh, you're good. She runs away to Jamaica with James Bonnie, and they get married. She's now Anne Bonny. So Anne Bonny is a very famous female pirate. So let me give you the rest of her little story so you guys know what you're asking on your spirit boxes. So James Bonny did not turn out to be the pirate that she wanted him to be. He was a privateer for the British. Basically means he was a spy. So it's not very good work. And it's not the badass pirate that she wanted. So she falls in love with another pirate. His name's John Rackham, aka Calico. Name, like younger fella. She falls in love with him, and then Calico Jack tries to buy off the dowry from James, so that way they can get divorced, and he refuses. So Anne Bonny stays Anne Bonny through the entire affair with Calico Jack. Calico Jack has a ship. She wants to be part of it. She says, okay, you can be a female in my quarters, but you have to be a male on the crew. Females were a curse on a pirate ship back then. So she dresses like a male, she's part of the crew, but being a female in the captain's quarters, she eventually gets pregnant. So what's Calico Jack do? Protect her gender. He drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back to the ship. Right? I'll come back for you 9 months later. So she has the baby. We don't know what happened to that baby. She comes back dressed as a female. She's no longer worried about hiding her gender. Calico Jack is now mad at her. During the time that she was gone for her pregnancy, Calico Jack captured another ship and had prisoners down below deck. She decides she's going to go flirt with one of those prisoners to make the Calico Jack jealous. So we're on a third guy now, in case you weren't keeping track. Turns out that the guy that she was flirting with was doing the exact same thing that she was doing to become part of Jack's ship. It was a female, just like a male.
Oh
So
gosh.
she reveals her gender. Her name's Mary Reed. The two become friends. Anne convinces Mary to become part of the crew. All is well. So, while the rest of the crew is downstairs protecting the prisoners, they're getting drunk, pirates, whatever, they get invaded by the British. So, of course, it's Anne and Bonnie trying to fight off the entire British fleet. The ship gets taken. All the prisoners down below deck, including the prisoners, were tried and hung. And then Anne and Mary, because they fought back, they were tried a week later. That was November 28th, 1720. Why do I remember that? Because I started doing this story on November 28th, 2020, the exact 300-year anniversary. So anyway, the Chief Justice, Nicholas Laws, he says, we're going to try you because you fought back, and we're going to convict you for piracy. So they reveal their genders. We're girls. You can't convict us for piracy. We can't be pirates. We're females. He doesn't care. Then they pled their bellies, which both means that they both claim to be pregnant. So what did that do? They were convicted for piracy, but it delayed their hanging. So Dad here in Charleston still has money from when he was an attorney in Ireland. He's able to bail Anne out. So apparently she comes back to Charleston, and some stories say she stayed here, she had plenty of kids, remarried again, and died at the age of 84.
So
Don't know why we have such
finally happily ever after.
Yeah,
The fourth,
but-
well, third guy, I should
But again,
say.
a lot of different. Well, it would have been a fourth guy.
Well, the third one was the woman.
Yeah,
So
and we
this
don't
one
know if there
goes-
was a relationship there either.
Well, that's true.
Right, we don't know. So what we think happened is that she died at the age of 84. What happened to Mary Reed? Mary Reed died from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. She never got out. She died a year later. So you guys have been doing enough investigating with me to ask your own questions. That was a very long story, and you have a lot, I'm sure, going through your minds. So you can turn up your spirit boxes here as long as we don't disrupt the other tour that's coming by, even though she's kind of loud. We won't say that out loud, did I? But we're going to be louder. Go ahead and turn up your spirit boxes. What I do want you to keep in mind is that this brick building is an apartment building. So if their windows are open, we definitely want to mind those spirit boxes. Dad, if you want to actually go to the front of the powder magazine with the different temperatures, you guys can do that, because that you go out that there and make a left to go to the front of the building. But you guys were already there, so right? Yeah. So you guys kind of get the gist of that. But this is actually the location where I caught the craziness on the thermal imaging last night. So it was pretty cool. Are you still recording, by the way? Is it still a square?
Yes, the square, yeah.
Okay. As long as we're square, we're good.
Yep.
You guys pass it back and forth, so sometimes...
Yeah, no, I don't know how to touch it, so yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Get that spirit box out, man.
What if the ghost is sitting on that box right now?
Mary Reed. Just like you read a book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go for your first, and Bonnie. And Bonnie, where did you go for your first pregnancy?
It's almost like you're a sniper.
Right.
You see red dots everywhere. There's not a whole lot of tours out tonight.
No?
I try to stay out of everybody's way, just because my groups
sure.
are louder. Plus, they don't like me from taking their business.
Oh, Sunday evening, are you usually bigger than this? More than
the
6? Yeah.
Well, it depends. If the weather is above 65 degrees, I'll have 2 tours with 10 people in it.
Really?
Each.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Ghost hunting, like it's weird. Like I'm probably about 40% going into next week already, because I end my weeks on Sunday.
All right.
So from Monday to next Sunday, I'm already at 40% of ticket sales.
Wow.
Like I'm a busy guy. Tomorrow's my
Well,
school
that's
day.
good, though.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I honestly, and now that I'm down to 1 tour a night, I work like 25 hours a week.
Right.
And I'm not complaining, because it gives me time to finish this damn book for school. Because I'm on a master's program, so I have to finish
Oh,
my
right.
novel. Yeah, so that'll be out at the end of the year.
Wow.
And my 7th book.
7th book, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I went to school for, man. I got a bachelor in English, one in journalism and communications, and my master's is in creative writing. I've been invited to apply for a PhD program called PhD in Creativity, and you get to pick your dissertation.
Right.
I would, of course, pick paranormal. So when I'm
Sure,
done, I would
yeah.
be a doctor of ghosts. How kick-ass is that? So,
It's a lot better than owning a landscaping business, right?
well,
Everyone's got their niche, I guess.
ticket prices will go up. I'm a doctor.
Right.
Let me show you what's going on here. My daughter keeps bugging me to like maybe get in touch with like Discovery and Travel Channel. I'm like, I'm not going on TV. I'm doing the exact opposite of what them guys were doing.
Right.
You know, because a lot of times she's on a tour helping with the guests because she knows all the devices. You know.
So I've actually never watched any of those shows or anything. I never would have had any interest in this. And
Really,
my wife brought it up. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that sounds cool.
it's different. It's a lot different. I mean, you've seen the other sides of the groups, and I keep mine at 10. Like,
Right.
it's just, I mean, I feel weird just having 6, to be honest with you. Like, I'm bugging them. They're trying to work, and I'm keep like, hey guys, let's talk business. But yeah, this is life. I gotta get those other files done, but I've been so focused on this book. I'm putting Atlantis as part of the afterlife. So it's
Right.
heaven, hell, purgatory, and Afterlantis.
It's cool that you're doing something interesting with your life, though. You know?
Well, at my age, I needed to do something.
Right.
I was tired of being retail manager.
Yeah.
So, over 20 years, done. Like, walked away. 6-figure income.
My daughter's still in retail at 24, and I'm like, you gotta think about something else here, you know?
I've been doing this for 2 years as far as, you know, the tours. I've been writing books since I was a teenager. That's when I launched my first book at 20. But I was a retail manager for 21 years, 4 different companies. And I looked at my new wife and I said, I hate my damn job. She's like, so quit and do the
Right.
tour guide thing you've been talking about.
Right.
So here I am.
Do what you love, you know?
Yeah, and she's in graphic design. So, like, Stories in a Cemetery was the name of the podcast. It was just a hobby.
Right.
So we just kept the same name. I'm like, it's going to work. Your logo's phenomenal. You know, and when we get weird things with the digital camera and your camera, I send it over to her because that's
Right.
what she went to school for.
Sure, yeah.
So she's all part of it.
And Bonnie, where was your...
I had my daughter working on data this morning because there was so much.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, go through these pictures with me. Pull them up on the computer, see what you can gather.
Well, that's interesting, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's ghost all the time. Mondays are no ghost
Yeah,
days.
well.
That's what the wife says. No ghost days on Mondays. So when we went on vacation, I was not allowed to bring my gear. We went to Universal right after Christmas. Like, we left December 26th. And she's like, no ghost gear. I'm like, nothing? I'm like, you know I got my phone. I got apps. And she's just like, no ghosts. We're done with ghosts for a whole week.
We did just the opposite. We're from Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
So we've come up this way. We're heading to Chimney Rock, North Carolina.
Gotcha.
This is just a stop for a day or two on the way.
Well, we want to hit some, you know, different haunted locations. Like, we need to get down to New Orleans and St. Augustine and all that mess.
Yeah, St. Augustine, right?
Well, a lot of that stuff ties to here.
And Bonnie, Lady Lovers with Mary Reed.
That's a yes or no
He
question.
doesn't know.
That's a yes or no question.
Yeah, right. You gotta know.
Well, the energy's completely zero. And we walked around for a while.
Again, I told Mom this that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's when I get something here, it's super exciting. It's not the big dimensions. That's what it should look like all the time. Alright, those are centrals. It should be on dead zone all the time. So, if you actually put it into the wire, it's going on. Wire. That makes sense. Like, one dead zone, so that way it's looking specified. It's good. Like, I think dimension site,
What's that wall so warm?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, she can't be very cooperative. What's that number?
Ooh. Ooh.
Right where they are.
We'll see if we're doing anything on their box, and then we'll go ahead and get this wrapped up if you guys aren't getting much. What are we getting on that box? Anything?
Nothing really.
So,
I got the word Samuel. I got The name Samuel.
Nope.
Latin?
In Latin, yeah,
most recent
Latin.
word.
Oh,
Got
what-
Samuel, investigate, castle, bird, cover, bleak, Latin.
Well, let's think about the Latin America section. What countries are in Latin America? Because they hung out in Jamaica and Cuba.
Could be.
So that'll be maps that I pull up later to see if that's relevant or not. But I'm guaranteeing you're just missing stuff on there, which is fine. That's what I'm here for in the morning.
I'm not very perceptive with like names. It takes me a second. I didn't think about
So
it.
last night I had two brothers as well, and they were fighting because I gave one this one that was super active, and the other one had this one, and he wasn't hearing anything because it's not easy, you know. And they were fighting over him. He's like, "Please trade with me, please, please, please." All right, ladies, let's wrap this up because they're not getting much either. So I also told them about the.
anything?
No, not really.
We got the word Latin, so I'm going to dive into some maps and see exactly where Latin America falls in the countries and where she traveled. So it's a possibility. I'm not going to get our hopes up about it yet. Again, it might be kind of a stretch. Just
Well,
'cause there might
isn't
be nothing else.
Cuba,
That's,
or
I think so.
Jamaica?
Jamaica, Cuba, I think
That
all of
could
that
be
might be
Latin.
Latin America. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, again, I know geography, but not that well. So, all right, so I'm going to be able to catch things on the spirit box for sure. And I'll always give you links of what's relevant and what's not. It might be just something that came up very clear to kind of teach you more about how to listen to it. The words, of course, I'll put links next to whatever I feel is relevant, especially the Elizabeth story. If there's another word there that links to it, Coogan Sports is a restaurant now, so like spoon, fork, plate, table, food, all those kind of terms, if I hear those around the same time period, then obviously it was from that location. We're literally a block away from that. It's not that far at all. And again, keep in mind, the answers you guys are looking for may have gone to another area. So there's 5 pieces of communication out tonight. So we have all 3 spirit boxes and 2 pieces of audio. So if you were asking how old Eliza was when she got married, we might hear 22 as an EVP on there. Does that make sense? So we never know what we're going to find. You guys asked a lot of questions. So I gave you a lot of suggestions. So I do this twice a night. So what questions you guys have for me before I start collecting these devices? You can ask me anything you want. I'm open book. Where's my skeptic, by the way? Who was it? I know there's one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not too
Yeah, you know what,
myself.
actually.
Yeah, it was you.
Okay.
Also my mom. She doesn't
I
believe
always
in
have one, and I stopped asking at the beginning of the tour because here's what I found out: keeping things positive gets better activity. If I find out, now I'm focused because I want to prove to Mom that paranormal exists. So now I'm super focused on her,
Sure.
and then we turn into a negative Nancy because she's like defending herself, and that just kind of ruins everything. So I stopped doing that. Now I'm like at the end of the tour, like, who was it? Was it right? But I just made sure everybody had fun. So that was the whole point.
Yeah. This is different from, I think, what we were expecting going into it, but
Yeah.
it's
And-
enjoyable. It's been enjoyable.
And
It's
hopefully it
been
didn't feel like you were following me around just listening to stories.
No.
So
No,
try
I
to
like storytelling.
Yeah, but when you go to the other tours, you got 20 people on there, and you can't even hear your tour guide. Like, you're straining to listen because we're all wearing masks now. This is actually a nice sized group at 6, but imagine only 4 more people here.
Yeah.
I'd still have enough time with all of you to be able to show you more tactics or whatever we needed to do.
Right.
So, but yeah, you guys did great. I don't know what's going to come up in the morning. So there's some nights where it comes up like we catching up in real time, where I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good stuff. Like last.